All right, let's talk about the Eagle Project Workbook. So this can be a little daunting, and so we're gonna take some time on this. The Eagle application, the ESRA, is really the last thing that you want to do before you turn in your workbook. But I believe that you should begin with the end in mind. So if you read that ESRA, that application, and you know all the information that you're going to have to provide, then it makes it easier to gather that information and keep track of it as you go along. The same is true for the Eagle Project Workbook. Now, there are 3 parts to the Eagle Project Workbook. You've already downloaded this, and you've already put it in your Eagle Stuff folder. Now, the other thing that the point that I'm going to make here is, do not, under any circumstances, Google Eagle Project Workbook and try to get a version of it that pops up on your search engine. The reason is, a lot of troops will put that application or put that workbook up on their website. They may have put it up 5 years ago and it's still out there and they haven't updated it. The troop might not even exist anymore, but that old version of that workbook is still out there on their website. And you, the unwitting victim, Google it, it pops up, you say, hey, there it is, and you download it, and you then do all of your work on the wrong application. National Office will not take the work if it's turned in on the wrong application. So you've got to use the current document. So don't get it from Google, get it from indianwaters.org and download it don't download it first before you ever start making any marks on it. All right. 3 parts to the proposal, to the workbook. There's the proposal, there's the plan, and there's the report. Now, we'll start with the report first. I want you to read the report section first. Again, begin with the end in mind. I want you to understand why we're asking you to keep a log of whoever shows up to help you with your project and how much time they spent. You understand why we're asking you to take pictures before and after your project. We're asking you to save all the receipts and all of the things. Read the report first so you know what you're going to be asked. It'll make it easier when you go to start filling it out. Now, the proposal. You're going to get a project, right? You're going to get an idea. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to contact your beneficiary. Now, the beneficiary is the person who's going to benefit from your project. That could be a church, it could be a school, it can be any community organization. It cannot be the Boy Scouts of America or any related, it can't be like Camp Barstow. And it cannot be a private entity that's not a school. Okay, but it can be a community, any church, any school, right? So you're going to determine the beneficiary, and then you're going to go talk to the beneficiary, and you're going to say, hey, I've got to do an Eagle service project, and I would like to do something for you guys because you've meant so much to me. And do you have some ideas? Now, a lot of times you have an idea that you can go and present to them and say, what I'd like to do is build a gaga ball pit. Or what I'd like to do is erect a shed, a bicycle rack, a covered bicycle rack. Or I'd like to make renovations to the trailhead at this nature trail and put up some fencing, right? I mean, and you say, this is what I'd like to do. What do you think about that? And they'll say, that sounds great, right? Sometimes, like I know right now, Arthur Goodmanson is working. He knows who he wants to do something for. That's the Coastal Conservation Association, CCA, but he doesn't know what he wants to do. So he's going to talk to CCA and say, hey, I'd like to do a project for you. Do you have something in mind? And they could come up with any number of things. So there's a project without a beneficiary, and then there's a beneficiary without a project. But with your beneficiary, you determine the idea and the scope. How big or small is it going to be? And this is important because once you determine what your scope is, you want to stay within that scope. Otherwise, it can get out of control, right? Then once you have an idea, then you're going to come to troop committee. We're going to ask you to come on the first Tuesday of every month. And we've been doing these on Zoom calls lately, and present your idea to troop committee. You don't have to have any kind of fancy presentation. A lot of people come in with just a single sheet of paper that says, this is what I want to do. Now, if you're planning to come to troop committee and you want to send some pictures or drawings to me or to Jason, and we can get those up so we can share the screen like I'm doing now. And if we're doing that via Zoom. Once troop committee has heard your project idea and you've talked to your beneficiary about it, and troop committee's given you some advice, then you're going to start completing the proposal section of your workbook. That's the first section of the workbook. Now, the proposal section starts out, briefly describe your project. And it's got this blue box in here. You're just going to start typing. I'm going to build a gaga ball pit at Epworth Children's Home, right? Or I'm going to build wood duck boxes for CCA, whatever it happens to be. Now, don't just say, I'm going to build wood duck boxes, or I'm going to build a gaga ball pit. Answer questions when you need to treat this as if whoever's reading it doesn't know anything at all about your project. And so it needs to have some description there. Answer the questions: who, what, where, why, how many, right? So be specific. If you've got any before and after pictures, you can put them in there. I recommend adding the pictures at the end because this little box right here is really hard to tell what's there, right? When are you gonna start your project? How long do you think it'll take? How are you gonna give leadership? How many people do you need? If you follow this proposal step by step and go through it, it will help you with your planning. It will kind of walk you through the process. It's about 3 or 4 pages long. It's got a contact information page. This sheet right here, you put your information, you put your unit information. Again, we are a troop. We are troop number 10. All of this information we've got in a sample sheet. I will put this also up on the website so that you can go to the website and you can get this basic information. Now, some of this has to be filled out by you. For example, I do not know who your project coach is. We do not know who the project approval representative is going to be until it gets assigned, so you can leave that blank. We do know who the council service center is, but we don't know who the beneficiary is, so that's all yours. So some of this information stays the same, and that part we can go ahead and pre-fill. The rest of it you're going to have to fill in yourself, right? All right, then the next thing, once you have finished your proposal and you've sent it to your adult leader, and I want to take a minute here and talk about the project coach. So an Eagle project coach is somebody who has maybe done this before and can guide you through the process and help you complete it and kind of keep you on task and move you along. A lot of times your parent wants to be your coach. I'm going to advise against your parent being the project coach. The reason is the main job of the project coach is to make sure this stays a scout project and not a parent project. The whole idea of this project is that you as the scout will take on this project and develop it and get all the approvals and give leadership, right? And not your parents. This is not Dad Scouts, Boy Scouts. All right. After you finish the proposal section of the workbook, you have to obtain the necessary signatures before it can be approved. Your candidate's promise. That's if you read this, it says that you have read the entire workbook, including the message to scouts and parents, and that you promise to be the leader on this project and to do your best to carry it out for the maximum benefit to the institution, the church, or the community that you have chosen as the beneficiary. The maximum benefit inside the scope of what you're doing. You're going to sign it, you're going to date it. Unit leader approval. This is where I sign it, saying that, yep, we've talked to the scout and we approve it. The unit committee approval, that's the troop committee approval. This is where Jason will sign it as the troop committee chairman. Your beneficiary has to sign it. Your beneficiary has said, yep, the scout has talked to me. We've come up with an idea. We understand that the scout will raise funds on his own and not in our name, and that he's given us this little pamphlet or the page called Navigating the Project. And the beneficiary signs it. So when you've signed it, when I've signed it, when the troop committee chairman signed it, when your beneficiary signed it, you are ready to go sit for your district project meeting. You will call me, and I will hook you up with either with Scott Simpson, who is our district advancement chair. We'll send that information to Mr. Simpson. He will then assign somebody for you to meet, and they put you all together. All right, so when you do that, you're going to sit down with that person. They're going to read through your project. They're probably going to ask you to email it to them, the paperwork prior to that. They're going to sign that. They're going to sign it after they give you some advice and maybe make some suggestions. Once you have that fifth signature, right? Once you have this one signed, now you are ready to begin your project. You cannot do any work on your project until you have that fifth signature, right? Now, the plan. The plan is the middle section of the workbook, and it is designed to walk you step by step into thinking about some questions an idea and potential problems before you get to them. I want you to be specific and detailed when you're filling out the plan. When it says, what kind of lumber are you going to use? Don't tell me you're going to use 2x4s. Tell me that you're going to use 10 2x4s by 10 feet long pressure treated lumber that you're going to get at Lowe's, and they're going to cost $7 each or whatever they cost. Okay. Be specific. I'm going to build a gaga ball pit. It's going to be 2.5 feet off the ground. It's constructed of 2x6s. It's going to be 12 feet across, anchored in with 4x4 posts set 2 feet in the dirt. Okay. Be specific and detailed. Use the plan to uncover the potential problems. And if you follow the plan step by step, you're going to save yourself a whole lot of frustration and heartache when you're trying to complete this project. Okay. All right. Then you're going to have a project workday. Now, it's your responsibility to recruit your helpers. Now, we'll help you with email and text notifications, and we'll help you promote your workday. And you should be available to promote your project at meetings well in advance. And we're having Zoom meetings now, and we'll continue to have those until we can go back live. You're going to start with your patrol and the scouts that you've helped with their projects, and you're going to say, hey, I'm having my project. Can you come help? Now, if you promote well, you will have a lot of people show up, and a lot of people will be able to help, and it's going to be easy to do. If you don't promote well, nobody's going to come, and it's going to be a lot of work on a few amount of people. All right. Now, you lead this day, not your parent, not your Eagle Project coach. It is your job to be in charge and to give leadership. Now, your parent, your coach can be there to kind of guide you along the way. The whole idea is we want you to learn from this, but it's your project. It's not theirs. Now, anybody can help. It does not have to be just scouts. It could be friends. It could be neighbors. It could be relatives. But when you keep the sign-in sheet, there's a place to ID. You be sure you know who's a scout and who's not a scout, who is a registered adult and who's not registered adult, because it's going to ask that information. Because you've read your report, you're going to know that you're going to have to have that information down. All right. A lot of times people will do some of the work before their work day. I know that when J.M. Bradley just did his Eagle, his project out at Hammond School, they built some benches. They had made most of the cuts on the lumber and done some of the assembly on the benches prior to being out there on Saturday morning. So when they got out on Saturday, all they did was assemble the pieces they had already made. All of the intricate cuts were already made in a workshop rather than out there on the trail in the woods. Made a huge difference. Okay. All right. Now the report, you're going to be thoughtful and thorough with all your answers, just like you'll have in all the other sections. You're going to include lots of pictures, and they got to be big enough to be easily viewed. Remember, some of the people who are going to sit on this Eagle board are old folks who can't see very well, like me. And so if you get that little box, if the only picture that you've put in is the little box that's on the proposal, I can't see what you did. Take lots of pictures and be able to tell the story with pictures. You're going to get asked about your project, and be proud of it, right? You want to include any receipts. You want to obtain the required signatures. once your project is finished, your beneficiary has to sign it again. I've got to sign it again. You've got to sign it again. It says that you have completed it. Now, one thing that I have started recommending is that you need to treat your report as part of your workday and do it the same day that you do your workday. So if you're going to build a nature trail and you start your nature trail building at 8 a.m. and you leave at 1 p.m. after lunch, you're not done. After you clean up your site, you're going to go home, you're going to get out your computer, you're going to go ahead and work on the report, and you're going to do that paperwork the same day while it's fresh on your mind. Go ahead and treat it like it's part of the workday. If you don't, you're going to put it off, and it's going to get put off and put off. We recently had an Eagle Scout who completed his project 2 years ago. 2 years. But he has now turned in his paperwork. He's turned in his notebook, and he'll probably be in the next round of Board of Reviews by the district. But it took him 2 years because he kept putting off the paperwork. So do the paperwork right away. Go ahead and get it done. You can put everything in a 3-inch binder. I'm going to show you a binder in a minute. All right. But the 3-inch binder with sheet protectors, the reason we do the sheet protectors is so that you can see. A lot of people are going to be turning pages in this. You don't want to lose pages. So put them in sheet protectors. Those are plastic pages. 3 things: your Eagle Scout rank application, the 2 pages front and back with all the signatures, needs to be in there. Your statement of ambition that we went over, that's the paragraph 7 report, has to be in there. And then the third thing is the Eagle Project Workbook, and that's all 3 parts of it: the proposal, the plan, and the report. All that's going to go into your 3-inch binder, along with copies of any receipts and pictures and things like that. And then once it's all signed and everything's finished, then you're going to deliver it to the Indian Waters Council office at 715 Betsy Drive. That's the same building as the Scout Shop. All right, you're going to send it in. Now, when your binder and all of your recommendation letters have been received by the council, then you're going to get called to schedule your Eagle Board of Review. Well, you can start asking for the recommendation letters when you start working on your project. There's no requirement that says that has to come at the very end. However, if you wait too long, they will ask. Let's say that you put in you asked your teacher back in April to write a letter, and all of a sudden it's a new school year. Now it's September, August, whatever. Maybe it's been 6 or 8 months since that teacher knew you. They're going to ask you for a fresher letter of recommendation, one that's more current. All right. After that, after everything's in, you get your board scheduled. You're going to call me and tell me that you got the invitation to come in, and then we're going to go over a couple things, and then that's it. Congratulations, you're going to be an Eagle Scout as soon as you pass. Tell me now, does anybody have any questions at all? That's kind of we've been through the whole process there. So who's got questions? There are a lot of projects that are very worthwhile projects that can be completed in significantly less time. So they took out the requirement for 100 hours. Now it's still a pretty good benchmark, but if you hit 96 hours, I think I was looking at Thomas Stiles. This is Thomas's book, The Great Cat Lodge. And I'm pretty sure that his project was 96 hours when it was all said and done. So not quite the full, not quite 100, but a very worthwhile project nonetheless. He did a great job. He just didn't. Now, here's how you count the hours. If any time that anybody spends on your project can be included in those hours. So that's any of your time, your project coach's time, troop committee's time, your parents, if they help you. Let's say that you and your dad drive to Lowe's and pick up lumber for your project. Then you're going to count your time, your dad's time, and you're going to count the Lowe's guy's time, because that's 3 of you that all spent time working on your project. So if you spend an hour at Lowe's, that's 3 hours. You're going to keep a piece of paper, a legal pad or something, and you're going to write down every time that you spend on that. I mean, does that answer the question? All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Who else has got a question? I know there are a bunch of guys, a bunch of y'all who are about to finish up and about to get done. So it's really, this is different. We're operating in a different world during COVID here. So some things are a little different. We're going to ask you to have a little patience. We'll get through it. I promise.
I'm finishing up with my proposal form for the council. So how can I get my book to you and Mr. Phelps for signatures?
This is just the proposal?
Yeah, like in the workbook after.
Okay. So all we need are the proposal pages. So it's the 4 or 5 pages, and you can. The best way to get it to us is to scan it and email it.
Okay.
Scan it and email it. We'll sign it and send it back.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Good question. Anybody else?
Hey, Flynn, I want to make a comment, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Brian, I don't know if you can hear me, but I wanted to, if you are doing any type of fundraising, there is a specific form in there that needs to be completed out, go to district for approval, and that also has to be signed by Mr. Bowie and myself before you do that. And
that is correct.
It's a simple process. If you are going to do any type of fundraising, you just need to have that completed before you go to district.
And send that to district along with the proposal forms.
Right. Once it's signed.
Well, it has to be approved by the council. But yeah, if you're going to be doing outside fundraising, there is that extra paperwork. Now, which also brings up another good point. If you're not doing any outside fundraising, then you don't need that form. You can pull it all out and not include it in your workbook. You also don't need any of the pages that are at the front of the workbook that say, that have all the instructions and things like that. What most people do, this is Flynn's. Can y'all see this? So this is the first page of the Eagle binder, of the Eagle workbook that's got his name and his project on it. And he just slid that down inside the front page of the front of the binder. So then when you go into the binder here, you've got these on plastic pages. They're easy to see. They're not going anywhere, right? You've got this is his statement of ambition. I'll put this up on the website. This is one of them we can use as an example. This is his paragraph 7 requirement. And then it starts with the plan, or the proposal. And so he's got the couple pages of the proposal, all the signatures. Now, if we're doing the signatures by email, and sometimes they won't all be on the same page, just add them to another page. That's perfectly fine. Okay, just as long as there is a signature on all 5 of those boxes. All right. Then it goes to the plan. The plan talks about how much lumber you're going to use, whatever. If you're building something, what materials you're going to use. And then the report. The report's just a couple of pages. What did you do? What did you learn? And then here's his time log, his receipts, all in a piece of paper here from Lowe's, and then a bunch of pictures of how all that happened when he did his project. Okay, and that's it. That's all that goes in the binder. Nothing else. What you don't put in your troop master report. You don't put in your list of merit badges or anything like that. None of that goes in there. The only thing that goes in that binder are the things I just showed you. That's it.
So we do the notebook with the Eagle project, and then the application is separate?
Correct. It goes in there. It goes in the front of your notebook, right? So the first page in your notebook is the Eagle, that ESRA, Eagle application, okay? And it's signed. If you see, all the signatures go on the back, down, right? And those are your review board will have this book. They will have the book along with your letters of recommendation, and they will pull that page out and sign it.
So the ESRA and the workbook with all its 3 separate sections go in the notebook, and then the recommendation letter should go straight to council.
Yes, the recommendation letters do not come back to you. They go straight to that address at the bottom of that recommendation form.
And before we turn the notebook into council, we should show it to you.
Yes,
absolutely.
That's why you come to troop committee.
We go to troop committee. Once we have everything ready, you
Correct.
Look at it, give us a thumbs up, then we send it to council.
Correct.
And Mr. Bowie, remind everybody again where they get the dates for the Eagle application, which is very important.
Right. All of the dates are available on your Troop Master printout. So all of your advancement dates, like the date that you became a first class scout, should be in your handbook. Right, written right there. We sign it and date it right there when we're doing it. So that's one place, but it's also going to be on your printout from Troop. There is one piece of information, your personal identification. I think they call it the PID. Now that is available from. It might be on your Troop Master printout. I can certainly provide it. I know I've given out a couple of them here recently. I've got an app on my phone now, so I can pull it up on my phone. So if you call me, I can tell you what your ID number is. It's like a 700 digit number, about that. It's about that long. That is your ID number that you were assigned when you became a Boy Scout. Good questions. All good questions. Who else? Anyone? Bueller? Bueller? All right, guys, we did this to hopefully provide some clarity. And we want you to understand this process. If you take it step by step and do things the right way, you're going to save yourself a lot of heartache. If you don't follow the instructions, you're going to email me some paperwork, and it's not going to. You're going to email me your workbook to look at, and you will have right-clicked it and saved it, or not saved it the right way, and it's not going to come to me. And I'm going to say, hey, I didn't get it. When you get ready to send it, print it as a PDF. Don't just save the PDF. Print the whole thing as a. If you go into your printer, there's going to be a setting in there that says print PDF. Also, that Adobe says that you need an updated version of Adobe Reader. You can get a free version of the Adobe Reader right there on that same page. That's got the download page for the Eagle, the project workbook. All right.
Another quick question, Flynn.
Yes, sir.
Sorry,
We're working on 3 of these right now. So he's got 3 going on. So.
I'm gonna be quiet. Can they handwrite? James Marshall's handwritten most of his. He didn't do it on the computer. Is that okay?
So yes, there is no requirement that it is typewritten. Now, keep in mind that if it's handwritten, it needs to be neat.
It's neat. You just print.
Right. As long as it's legible, then it's fine. Now I have sat through a bunch of different Eagle boards, and I've pulled out books that, have had, you go to this page and it says, describe this, and it's got a 1-word answer. Now you can look on this is Flynn. He's got a lot of white space here. A lot of white, but he's got 2 full sentences and it's typewritten. There's space here. They give you enough room to write this, and just make sure it's legible. I've seen them written in the margins and arrows going down here and stuff crossed out, and it's just, take a little pride in your work. Make sure that it looks good, because this is going to be seen by first of all, everybody in our entire troop committee is going to see this book, and then it's going to go to the council, and then it's going to go to the district, and the district board of review is going to look at it, and then everybody in the council is going to look at it, and then everybody at national is going to look at it. So, we have an image that we need to maintain, that we do things the right way, and they look good. So yes, it's fine to handwrite it, but take a little pride in the work. Make sure that it's neat and legible. All right, guys, thanks for joining us. If you're ready, we got troop committee tomorrow at 6:30. We'll send the coordinates out on the text threads, and if you don't have them, call your adult patrol leader, assistant scoutmaster, and we will make sure that you've got that. Go ahead and get that project. If you're just working on an idea, let's go ahead and get that proposal approved. Call to your beneficiary and let's get moving on at least the approval, and then you can start kind of narrowing down what you're gonna, when you're gonna do it.